Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about yet another episode of Social Justice, the reality show, featuring Black Lives Matter as the special guest and giving us some top quality fiscal irresponsibility advice with a dash of nepotism. See, I heard from people on the internet claiming that the original members of Black Lives Matter were Marxists. And I flat out refused to believe it. I was like, dude, it's the United States of America. I mean, it's capitalism. It's one of the most wealthy nations on earth with high standard of living. Surely there cannot be Marxists there. But after seeing how they managed to handle their finances and also the very interesting cronyism and family connections that have been involved in this business, I can say, no, they're probably I mean, only a Marxist could do something like this. You know, if you take a capitalist and you pay him to tank an organization this way, he can't do it. It's impossible. Like, it's not in his blood. But the Marxist doesn't even have to try. So, as we're going to see here, the national organization BLM is at risk of going bankrupt after its finances plunged $8.5 million. Okay, like how do you get, like, it didn't even plunge to zero. No, it went into $8.5 million debt. The Washington Free Beacon obtained the financial disclosures, and apparently they're talking about the pearl estate of BLM, Global Network Foundation, which officially emerged in November 2020 as a more formal way of structuring the civil rights movement. Yeah, so in 2020, you weren't allowed to criticize the organization. Like, because it was a very, very smart way of naming it, right? You name it Black Lives Matter. And of course, everyone agrees with the sentiment. But if you name your organization Black Lives Matter, you can't really criticize the organization in any way, shape, or form. Because if you do it, then, oh, so you don't think Black Lives Matter. Do you see what they did? Very smart. So let's see how they managed to waste the money. Well, apparently, Cullor's brother, Paul Cullors, which is a graffiti artist, probably the richest in the world at this point, was paid $1.6 million for providing professional security services. Oh my God. I mean, what was he doing there for $1.6 million? I don't think, like, if I work my entire life, I'll be able to afford to hire this guy. I mean, it was probably the most secure event in the world, wasn't it? I'm curious, when the World Economic Forum happens at Davos, do they spend $1.6 million for security? Because you have, like, the most important people in the world going there. I would really like to see, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they spend more. But it would be interesting just to make a comparison. So Paul Cullors was also one of BLM's only two paid employees during the year. See? They had... That's why they didn't have more employees. I mean, when you go with equity and you pay people a normal wage, you can't hire more than two. He was collecting a $126,000 salary as head of security on top of his consulting fees. My God, I should get this guy for consulting as well. I mean, if he is asking so much for a consulting fee, I mean, he's probably the best consultant. Why did the organization end up the way it is, though? Like that, yeah? Like, maybe his consulting wasn't that good. Or maybe they didn't listen. Why should I assume? We shouldn't assume. Maybe he had really good consulting advice, but they didn't listen. So, Patrice Cullors defended hiring him, saying registered security firms which hired former police officers could not be trusted. See? He found the market. So they couldn't trust police officers, and they trusted him for $126,000 salary. I mean, Cullors resigned in May 2021. I mean, after you tanked the organization, what was the point in being there? Just to get people pointing fingers at you? Well, Patrice Cullors was forced to resign due to charges of using BLM funds for her personal use. Nah. It looks like she's still keeping it all in the family, said Paul Kamenar, an attorney for the National Legal and Policy Center watchdog group. Shalomia Bowers, who took over from Cullors when she resigned, also benefited handsomely from the group. In 2022, his consultancy firm was paid $1.7 million. My fucking God, these people know how to consult. These people are expert consultants. I wish that they would do a pro bono on my channel, please. I mean, if you're so good that you think you're worth $1.7 million after tanking an organization with the consulting, imagine if they actually put their mind to it. Like, imagine if you pay them $3.4 million. Oh, then they do the real consulting. And then apparently the sister of the former Black Lives Matter board member, Raymond Howard, was also employed in a lucrative role as a consultant. Look, another consultant, $1.1 million. Holy shit. My fucking God. How much were they consulting, though? Like the consulting was overdrive. What were they about BLM doing? Consulting. They also agreed to pay an additional $600,000 to an unidentified former board member's consulting firm. See, I lost my opportunity. Holy shit, guys. This is what we missed. This is what... See, we could have been rich. Had we known, all we had to do would be to ask BLM if we could consult for them. I mean, look at the wages they're paying. Huh? Do you think they would have hired us? Any of us? What is your resume? I don't know, but I would love to consult for BLM. They pay very well. Apparently, the cash flowing into BLM dropped dramatically after the group lodged a $1 million loss on security sales of $172,000, suggesting that the group sustained an 85% loss on the transaction. Couleurs, who had been at the helm of the BLM Global Network Foundation for nearly 6 years, stepped down in 2021 amid anger at the group's financial decision and perceived lack of transparency. But look, who needs transparency is a vulgar capitalist term. A progressive, uplifting, equitable social justice term is lived experience. Like, if her lived experience told her to sell the body one way, who are we to disagree? A year later, in May 22, it was revealed that BLM spent more than $12 million on luxury properties in LA and in Toronto, including a $6.3 million 10,000 square foot property in Canada. You know, when this came out, Facebook banned it. Like, you weren't allowed to talk about it that way. And there were other activists saying, oh, well, is she not allowed to buy a house? Yeah, but like when you buy an $8 million property, I don't know if it's just a house, you know? It's interesting because like a lot of people do not understand why socialism doesn't work. And this is the reason, okay? Like, what is socialism? It's the idea that we take from people, right? We take their shit and then we redistribute it. But for some reason, everyone just take the shit and then redistributes it to themselves and their friends and families. Did you notice that? Right. So this is why socialism doesn't work. Don't believe me? Look at Reddit. The moment a moderator, like a progressive Marxist moderator, manages to gain power in a forum, not only is he going to act like a little tyrant, but very rarely, if ever, do they decide to relinquish the power, even when they fuck up and the entire community demands that they step down. Our work advice, best example. One of the moderators goes on Tucker Carlson's show, makes a complete ass of himself, humiliates the entire community. People ask him to step down. He starts banning people. Like, this is human nature, okay? This is normal. It is a little bit upsetting to see that a lot of people who are impoverished and, genuinely believed in the cause, donated a little wealth they had, and then you get to see people becoming millionaires and living in luxurious mansions and stuff like that. And of course, holy shit, look at this. Look at this. All I had to do was to be a consultant for BLM and I too could have lived in this place. Oh my God. Look, you know what? We're going to talk about it on a live stream. We're going to talk about it on a live stream. This is so beautiful. I've never seen a house this good. So let me know what you think in the comment section, and right after this, hop over to my live stream and we can discuss this further.